Welcome to Talk It Up with Taylor. Welcome to episode 14. This is You Are What You Consume. Before I get into it, I will say this episode is possibly the closing chapter, or closing the season, possibly on perspectives, balance, the work-life balance, that type of deal. So not sure if it's actually going to go that way. We're definitely going to circle back to a lot of these different topics. However, we're moving on to almost like a miscellaneous chapter because the two guest interviews that I'm planning on having in the next month or so, they're very different and I'm not sure how I will tie them together, but we'll find a way, so it's completely fine. The other reason I think this is like a perfect time and a sign to close it up is because I'm on the last chapter of my notebook here. Or not last chapter, last page. We keep using chapter. We are on the last page, so I was like, oh my goodness. We're coming to the end of it. Here we are. So yeah, you are what you consume. Getting into it. I didn't use the word eat because I think this expands, I don't even think, this does expand beyond food. I know that food has become a prevalent topic nowadays. You have all the organic push, you have the whole GMO push, you have gluten-free, dairy-free, everything free. I mean, it's really good. People are trying to get healthy. They're really trying to put the good food and fuel their gut so that the rest of their body is functioning properly. That I think I was reading somewhere that the stomach is your second mind because, hello, the nutrients that you put into it helps to send out the signals to the rest of your body. Keep it moving. If you're putting the junk in, you're going to be junky. If you're putting healthy stuff into your body, you're going to be healthy. So you are what you eat in that aspect, but going into what you consume, oh my gosh, went home this past weekend and I was talking with my parents, and anytime you go home or catch up with your parents, I feel like it's always not just a catch up with what's going on in your life or your siblings' lives or people in your life, but it's like people from high school or like way back in the day, and they'll be like, how's blah, blah, blah? And you're like, I haven't talked to this person forever. Like maybe I've seen a recent post they've had. Like I think they're doing well. They're smiling. They look happy, but it's social media. Like people can fake that. They post what they want to post and put a front on. They put on their best face to everybody else. So I don't know, my parents. And then we were talking about Facebook and I was like, thank goodness my parents don't have Facebook. First and foremost, I'm like, okay, they made that choice not to get it because they don't want to dive into some of that toxicity. I know I have some relatives and people I've seen on there who they specifically post to make others jealous or be like, look at this lavish life I'm living. And really they're just trying to get back at somebody or, yeah, again, try to make other people jealous of the life they're living. And it's like, okay, if you're just trying to play this game, you're just another piece to that game. Like, why are you adding to this? So anyway, I'm glad my parents don't have Facebook, but they still, at the same time, they'll be like, how's blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, why? Like, does it matter? Is there something recently that happened, or you're just curious? I mean, that's fine if you want to make sure they're living life, doing their thing, all is well. And I know the jealousy aspect isn't just, hey, look what I'm doing, look at my story, look at my post. But it also comes down to look at how many followers, how many likes, how many comments, retweets I have. And so all of that, trying to compete over who has the largest audience, who is the most popular. Like, why are we still doing this middle school, high school drama as adults? I don't understand. Anyway, getting into it, you are what you consume. Again, it goes beyond food, and I do touch on social media as another place where you consume information, knowledge, thoughts, ideas, opinions, tying it all in with perspectives and how you choose what you pay attention to and believe in taking part in your life. So I know that when it comes down to news, here we go, being part of the news, I see the different biases that people can have in the industry. And obviously I know how some of the different stations can work when you move up, when you move down. And so listening to some people in the community when they complain about how something was said or whatever, and I'm like, okay, you're looking at one piece of the puzzle. You're looking at the side that you believe, which You're going to believe what you want to believe, right? But at least expand your idea to other platforms. You're gaining that other side. You're hearing the other thoughts, how they're wording it at least. So you're not just paying attention to the wording that you're favoring and just going all the way to those ideas. I mean, I know I've talked about it before, gaining those different perspectives, finding the other ways that you can absorb that knowledge and not just find it from one source. You want to expand on it from other people and gain those different perspectives. Everything has a different side to the story. You have to figure it out. That's why most times when we have a controversial story in the news, you try to get a professional person speaking, the expert, and then you try to get an MOS. So I'll teach you a little terminology. MOS would be man on the street. So you would go up to someone, a random person, be like, hi, can I talk to you about this? Can I just hear your opinion? And so it would be a random person, you're gaining their opinion. And then as the reporter, you have to step back and be like, let me write this unbiased story, inform people without putting my own thoughts and ideas into it. It's just the facts and some of that human emotion from that random person. So there's a little background into the news industry, but I mean, when you have people just paying attention to Fox, just paying attention to CNN, those are just two key examples that I feel like everyone understands. I don't even have to explain the difference between Fox and CNN. You see one very to the left, you see one very to the right, and then you see the people who really feed into it, the viewers, and you're like, okay, I can definitely tell that you only pay attention to this one, or that, yeah, you'll pay attention to the other just to bash it. And it's this world, man, I'm like, why are we all attacking each other? Why can't we all just get along, understand each other? Like I said, we'll get there though. That's the goal of Talk It Up. Today I was in the car listening to music on the way back from work, and even though it's like a 2-minute drive, and I was listening to the lyrics, even though it was like an upbeat kind of fun song, and I was listening to the lyrics and I was like, oh, they actually say some things that just like aren't nice in here, which is fine. But also at the same time, those who have self-deprecating humor, those who speak meanly towards other people. I don't know if you've heard of the rice experiment, but they have like 3 different containers of rice. I'll have to find out. I'll post it in the comments, the YouTube link that I watched it. YouTube, gotta love it. But anyway, one of them, they speak nicely to the rice and they're like, you are kind. The next thing of rice, they're basically like, you're crap, you're nothing, you're worthless, whatever. And then the third container of rice, they don't say anything, they don't do anything with it. And then after 30 days, they come back. The first container of rice where they're like, you're kind, it's glowing, it's looking great, it's fermenting, whatever. The second one that they were mean to it, it's like all black and gross and just rotten. And then the third one is also kind of deteriorating, not looking great. But it speaks to, when you speak to yourself kindly, obviously it's putting you in a better mindset because you love yourself as a person. You see yourself from your perspective. You understand yourself. You have that awareness on yourself. And then when you have that internally, like we talked about so many times before in these episodes, you can then express that externally and make this world a better place and all of that good funky stuff. Really why I feel like this episode, You Are What You Consume, really ties into all of the perspectives is because I feel like we definitely talk about our own perspectives and how we gain them, but also understanding other people's perspectives. So circling it back in, coming that full circle again, is looking back inwardly and saying, okay, what am I paying attention to that creates my own perspective, creates my own reality? So not only when you're paying attention to the music like I was talking about, but movies. I was even looking at like Disney movies, and of course you have to reach out to the adult audience, the older audience, and have the older humor in there too. I was looking back like, oh my gosh, they had this in a children's movie? What? And so even looking back at that and going, wow, I never saw it from this side before, and I'm appreciating it from a whole new light, a whole new perspective. That's really cool too. But then you're learning the different sides from these movies, these shows, the books that you're looking at, whatever information that you're believing in, that you're consuming, you're choosing to look at, that's on you. I'll tie it back to Facebook. It's you have the choice to go after and be like, hey, look at my life and play a part in that game. Or you can just sit back, do your own thing, be happy for other people living their lives, Hopefully they're living their lives. Don't have to compete. You're your own person. Again, be your own main character in your story. Don't be a side character in someone else's story, because you'll never be that main character. Just gonna put that out there. Another thing, when you're having conversations with people, I feel like, well, yeah, we talk about this on Talk It Up, to gain those conversations, the different understanding from the conversations that you have. But even a lot of the conversations I've had recently with people and opening up more, there's a lot of key takeaways that I've learned from them that I'm like, oh, I like that. I've never thought about it that way before, and I want to use that in my life now. And then other perspectives where I'm like, I don't really like that. I don't want to use that. So figuring out who I am more based on what other people are saying. And at the same time, I feel like when it comes down to the end of the day, when you're sitting with yourself, again, I know we talk about how independence is a key factor in understanding yourself and growing as a person, having that self-care, that self-love, paying attention to your own thoughts, because I think we did talk about it before. You are the observer of your thoughts, of your life, your actions. Like, you are observing every single thing that you do. So even the thoughts that you have, some of them are intrusive thoughts that just pop up and you're like, oh my gosh, like, why would I think of something like that? Like, that's cruel. Why would I think of that? Like, I get that thought out of my head. So you're choosing to believe, like, okay, I didn't like that thought. That's not me. You have the choice of your actions, your thoughts, what you're doing with your life. And I mean, that's true power. That's how you make it through in life. Something I'm learning, something I know that a lot of other people are learning, and that's why we're talking it up. Here we go. We are wrapping it up here with the whole perspectives chapter, season, whatever you want to call this. Let's see if it actually follows through this way. But getting into it, Jim Rohn, not sure if you've heard of him, but he is an entrepreneur, an author, a motivational speaker. He has the quote that says, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." And I relate to that because I look back at this past year. I look at the people that I've spent the most time talking to, not just talking to over FaceTime, phone calls, text, whatever, but also just spending time with in person, whether that's through my personal life, whether that's through my work life. And I'm like, okay, I can definitely see within the past year a lot of the different traits or moods that I've picked up from certain people, or the little tics that they have. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I am drumming in the car now, and I used to not do that. And I was like, why am I doing this? And I was like, oh yeah, it was from this person. So be careful too, not just what you consume, but also the people, the things that you surround yourself with. And also, it's a two-way street. So you should also be careful what you are putting out for others to consume, because you are your own brand. You are making the choice to create who you are. You choose who you are. So also, when you are feeding into or putting out there into other people's feeds certain information, content, make sure it's something positive, good, or informative that's going to somehow better their lives and not just tear everyone apart, because I know everyone is sick and tired right now of being sick and tired. So let's make a change on that. Anyway, I want to thank all of the guests that I've had on this chapter season, again, whatever you want to call it. Talking about perspectives, Alan Shulman, the first guest, I want to thank you. My Aunt Dory, that was the 2-parter. I think that was episode 11 and 12, I believe. So Aunt Dory, thank you so much for that. And then also Colin Higgins, Andrew Davis, want to give another shout out to you guys as well. The Sparty episode, love it. Go Green again, Michigan State. So we actually had 3 Michigan State, 3 Sparties on Talk It Up for this season. The next one, so far we have 2 guests. These people are people that I've just met within the past year. So haven't known them for that long. Haven't even had that many conversations with them. But the conversations that I have had, there's a spark. Love talking to them, so I know there's going to be great conversations coming all of your way soon. And I also want to thank all of you, because it wouldn't be Talk It Up without all of you listening and providing input, the support, the love. So thank you. If you want information, go to talkitupwtaylor.weebly.com. Again, you're going to go up there for any updates, the rest of the Talk It Up episodes. You can also head to Spotify and Apple Podcasts if you want to hear any of the episodes. But I will say episode 12, and did I say this was, what was it, 13? Oh my goodness. No, this is 14. So episode 13 and 14 won't be on there, but 1 through 12 is on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You will have to wait until about mid-August until we can get 13 and 14 up there. But thank you so much for listening to Talk It Up with Taylor on this Talk It Up Tuesday. My gosh, we're getting it rolling. I can't believe we're doing this, but thank you. Okay, have a great one.